The scorn and the silence of 2 centuries. 200 years had passed since the event that had altered the course of history. Dr. Sarah Chen stood alone on the observation deck of a concealed research outpost, her gaze fixed on the endless sweep of the Pacific Ocean. Far below, buried 3 kilometers deep in the Mariana Trench, rested the secret that would one day redefine the fate of humankind. Her thoughts drifted to the tales her grandmother had once shared, stories of the moment Earth first encountered the Galactic Council. The alien ships had emerged without warning, vast and silent, hulls gleaming like liquid silver against the void. Humanity had been awestruck, thrilled even. Contact with extraterrestrial life confirmed what many had long suspected: they were not alone. The first meeting had been held in Geneva, with world leaders assembled to greet what they believed would be humanity's entrance into a broader galactic family. The council delegates were otherworldly. The Zephyrians shimmered with crystalline bodies that bent light into living rainbows. Corvain moved like machines, all cold grace and cybernetic precision. The Thiracri ambassador floated within a containment field, its shifting colors defying human description. But the wonder soon faded. "Your species holds potential," said High Chancellor Vexi, his voice deep and resonant, echoing with the wisdom of 1,000 civilizations. "Yet your technological level is far behind even the minimum threshold. You cannot travel faster than light. Your weaponry is crude, chemical-based. Your computational systems are primitive, binary." The laughter that followed was unforgettable. It wasn't cruel laughter, the kind one might brace against. It was soft, condescending laughter, adults watching children fumble with toys. "Perhaps in 3 or 4 centuries, when you have caught up, we may reevaluate," Vexi continued. "Until then, Earth will be classified as pre-contact. Observation stations will be placed at your system's edge. Any direct contact is now prohibited." The next day, the aliens left, offering one final caution: do not attempt to leave your system. Do not seek us out. Any hostile expansion will be met with correction. Sarah's hands gripped the cold railing in front of her. The insult had been absolute. Humanity had been examined and dismissed, its dreams deemed insignificant. The final images on news networks were of the alien ships vanishing into faster-than-light jumps, leaving shimmering auroras in their wake and exit as elegant as it was mocking. But something had changed in that moment. The laughter meant to belittle had sown the first seeds of quiet defiance. Within months, Earth's space agencies were quietly absorbed into state control. Satellites vanished from orbit, space stations deconstructed, and every outward sign of space ambition was scrubbed clean. To the alien observers, it seemed humanity had surrendered its place in the stars completely. But the reality was something else entirely. Dr. James Harper, Sarah's mentor and the visionary, before her, had first proposed the Deep Earth Initiative. "If they're watching the skies," he'd said, "then we move in the opposite direction. We go down. Where are there? Than anyone has ever dared." The initiative took 50 years to realize, powered by secret advancements in subterranean drilling. Humanity had carved vast research facilities into Earth's crust, deeper than any species had imagined. The crown jewel of this hidden empire was the Mariana facility where Sarah now worked, constructed into the walls of the planet's deepest abyss. And it was there, in the lightless pressure of the ocean's lowest depths, that humanity uncovered its most extraordinary find. The discovery was pure chance. A geological team had been conducting a standard survey of the trench floor when their robotic explorer detected anomalous metallic elements. The readings were unlike anything previously recorded. What they uncovered changed everything. The structure was impossibly old, far beyond any known civilization. Its walls were built from unidentifiable substances, smooth and flawless, impervious to every test. But what left no doubt was its origin. It was artificial, crafted, created by minds far older and far more advanced than any known to the galaxy. And within its sealed chambers lay technology that dwarfed even the accomplishments of the Galactic Council. Sarah passed silently through the corridor, past rows of sealed labs where the world's finest minds worked in isolation. The artifacts, their very existence, defied current understanding. The computers didn't rely on binary, but operated on a form of quantum entanglement that allowed instantaneous operations across unimaginable distances. The energy cores harnessed forces buried deep within the universe's framework. But above all else, the most miraculous discovery was the teleportation. The precursor teleportation matrices didn't move just data or light, they transferred physical matter across space in the blink of an eye. Not just test objects, entire constructs. The theory behind it was staggering. Calculations required a level of processing only made possible after years of deciphering and adapting. Precursor quantum algorithms. Dr. Chen stepped into the central laboratory where her team was preparing the next phase. At the room's heart stood the prototype teleportation chamber, its surface alive with designs that shimmered and shifted like flowing silver. "Status?" she asked, directing her question to Dr. Marcus Webb, her lead engineer. "All green across the board," Webb replied, nearly breathless with anticipation. "The quantum field generators are stable. Navigation lock is firm on the target vector." Sarah nodded slowly, her nerves taut beneath the surface. This part never got easier. 15 years of relentless effort had gone into this. Building? On generations of breakthroughs, their team had painstakingly advanced step by step. The earliest trials had been cautious on individual atoms, then molecular clusters, then gradually small objects, and now today was different. Today marked their boldest test yet. For the first time, it would attempt to teleport a full-scale craft, a 20-meter vessel, fitted with its own teleportation matrix. "Begin sequence," Sarah commanded. The chamber thrummed to life. The alien symbols covering its surface blazed, brighter, cycling through hues that defied human comprehension. The ship within began to blur, its form fading, dissolving, and then not vanished. "Telemetry confirms transition," Webb announced, his voice electric with awe. "Target coordinates reached 200 kilometers away. All systems reading nominal." A breath of silence passed, then Sarah exhaled. They had done it. Humanity had just unlocked the ability to teleport across vast distances. Interstellar travel was no longer a dream, it was real. But their triumph was cut short by a sharp alarm. Admiral James Torres entered the lab, his face grim, movements brisk. "Dr. Chen," he said tightly, "we have a situation." Our long-range observatories picked up significant fleet activity at the system's edge. The Galactic Council is mobilizing. Sarah felt the chill settle in her bones. "Mobilizing? Against who?" "Against us," Torres replied. "Their intelligence believes we've advanced too far, too fast. They're worried we're becoming a destabilizing force. They've authorized a preemptive strike." Sarah absorbed the weight of his words. For 2 centuries, Earth had feigned weakness, played the role of the stagnant world. Meanwhile, in secret, they'd built wonders beneath the ocean and stone. And now, that illusion was collapsing. "How much time do we have?" she asked. 6 months, Torres answered. "That's when the fleet arrives. They're sending everything: dreadnoughts, orbital strike platforms, full planetary assault forces. They're coming to erase what they now fear." Sarah looked around the lab at the people she'd led, their faces steeled by purpose, lit by quiet determination. They had sacrificed everything for this moment. "Then we begin now," she said. "How many ships can we ready?" Torres gave a rare, grim smile. "We've been preparing for this for decades. The Atlantic deep shipyards are fully operational. As of this morning, we have 200 warships ready to deploy, it outfitted with precursor teleportation drives." Sarah's breath caught. She had known the military had been involved, but not to this extent. 200? She whispered. 200, Torres confirmed. Each one capable of jumping instantly across the galaxy. Each one armed with weapons the Council has never encountered. He turned to the dark ocean beyond the reinforced glass. "They believe they're coming to crush a backwards world," he said. "They have no idea what's really waiting." The next half year passed in a blur. The subterranean cities surged with urgency, their hidden shipyards alive with energy. Earth's silent navy prepared for the defining battle of its existence. The vessels were unlike anything in known space league, lethal, built entirely around teleportation. Sarah worked day and night, refining systems, pushing technology to its limits. Systems and overseeing the training of the crews who would soon pilot them, each was a volunteer men and women who understood they stood at the edge of history. As launch day neared, Sarah once again stood upon the observation deck. Watching the sun dip beneath the Pacific's shimmering surface, beyond that horizon, past the outer reaches of the solar system, the Galactic Council's fleet gathered, believing this would be nothing more than a swift extermination. They were about to realize just how mistaken they were. Admiral Torres stepped up beside her, his face composed, but his eyes held steel. "Are you ready, Dr. Chen?" Sarah studied the tranquil sea, fully aware that its calm would not last. In mere hours, everything would change. Earth would unveil its true face. Not a backward world, but a rising force armed with relics that predated the Council itself. "We've been ready for 200 years, she replied. "It's time they learned what humanity can do when overlooked the reckoning." High Chancellor Vexi stood tall on the bridge of the Galactic Council's flagship, Infinite Justice, gazing at the approaching blue marble. Earth looked unchanged since his last visit, quiet, undeveloped. Sensors placed at the system's edge confirmed what the Council had long assumed. Earth remained stagnant. No advanced satellites, no signs of interstellar ships, no indication of technological progress. The ideal candidate for erasure. "Fleet status," he commanded, his crystalline skin scattering light and hard prismatic flashes. Commander Thrall, a towering corvane fitted with gleaming cybernetic arms, turned to face him. "All ships in formation, High Chancellor." 3,000 vessels deployed in standard cleansing grid. Dreadnoughts locked for orbital bombardment. Strike cruisers positioned for precision removal. "The human defense grid is minimal, almost ceremonial." Vexi gave a satisfied nod. The decision to eliminate Earth had not been made in haste. Intelligence showed troubling developments: population growth, increased subterranean activity, and resource manipulation consistent with war preparation. Better to extinguish the fire before it lit the galaxy. "Open a transmission," he ordered. "They deserve to hear their end." A signal opened, and Vexi's voice echoed across Earth's skies. "People of Earth, I am High Chancellor Vexi. Of the Galactic Council, you have been deemed a potential threat to interstellar peace. By Council decree, your world shall be purged of sentient life within the hour. This is done in the interest of galactic stability." The broadcast ended. "Power the main batteries," he said to the weapons officer. "Target the largest cities first." But Earth was not silent. Deep beneath the Pacific, Admiral Torres stood in front of a tactical map that glowed with the positions of every Council vessel. The alien ships were widely dispersed, confident in their numbers and superiority. Exactly as planned. "All ships report ready," said the communications officer. "Teleportation drives charged. Targets locked." Torres turned to his crewmen and women who had sacrificed anonymity for the future. "For 2 centuries, we were animals in their eyes," he said. "Today, they'll see who we really are. Initiate Operation Silent Thunder. All ships execute." In orbit above Earth, the very fabric of space seemed to rip apart. Across the vast expanse of the Council's formation, thousands of ships suddenly found themselves surrounded by distant enemies warping in or descending from orbit, by Terran warships that simply appeared within their ranks as though they had always been there. They came without warning, without approach, without trace. Commander Thrall stared at his instruments in disbelief. "This is impossible. Where did they come from?" Sensors detected nothing. He didn't finish, before the Council could react. The human ships unleashed hell. Their weapons weren't recognizable. They weren't energy beams or kinetic rounds. They were concentrated pulses of raw quantum energy projectiles that ignored shields and bypassed armor entirely. Council vessels erupted like fireworks. Hull plating buckled, folded, and vanished. Tire cruisers split apart, torn by forces. Their engineers had no names for evasive maneuvers, Vexi barked. But it was useless. How do you run from an enemy that doesn't chase, but appears wherever it wants to be? A Terran destroyer emerged just meters from Infinite Justice's port bow, so close that Vexy could see its hull sleek flowing alive with shimmering patterns that danced like mercury. "Unbelievable," he whispered. "Transmission from the Terran vessel," his communications officer said, voice unsteady. "What it on screen?" Vexy snapped, still trying to reconcile the impossible. Human face appeared. A woman young by his standards, but her eyes held the depth of someone who understood forces far beyond council comprehension. This wasn't a primitive. This wasn't a child fumbling with technology. This was a predator who had stopped pretending. "Hi, Chancellor," she said, her tone firm, composed. "I am Captain Alina Vasquez of the Terran Defense Fleet. You have entered our space with hostile intent. You will disengage immediately." Vexy's mind reeled. "What? This is absurd," he stammered. "Your species has barely understands basic spaceflight. How are you doing this?" Captain Vasquez offered a faint smile, one that sent a chill through the bridge. 200 years ago, you mocked our limitations," she said evenly. "You told us we weren't ready. We listened." Across the battlefield, Terran ships blinked in and out of existence, striking council vessels and vanishing before counterattacks could even be aimed. The once feared Galactic Council, fleet conquerors of 1,000 systems, was now unraveling against an opponent they had dismissed as obsolete. "While you ruled your empire from on high," Vasquez continued, "we were digging deeper than your species ever imagined possible. And we found something buried in the dark. Something ancient. Something forgotten. The precursors left us a gift, Chancellor. A legacy of technology that renders your empire's pride laughable." In the distance, a massive dreadnought detonated, its hull sheared apart by quantum energy. Seconds later, the shockwave rocked the Infinite Justice. Vasquez's eyes narrowed, her smile sharpening. "You want to see primitive?" she said. "Let me show you what humans do when we stop pretending." The Terran destroyer disappeared dynamically to reappear directly overhead. Then came Morsleek ships materializing around the flagship in perfect formation, locking it in a deadly cage. Their weapons hummed to life, sending vibrations through the very frame of the council vessel. "This is your only warning." Vasquez's voice came again, clear and steady. "Order your fleet to retreat now, or we will redefine the term primitive for you." Vexy looked around at his command crew, veterans of countless campaigns, technological elites of the Galactic Order, and they were frozen paralyzed by terror. The tactical display confirmed the nightmare, a mere 200. Terran ships were annihilating a fleet of 3,000. "How many species have you silenced with speeches? Like the one you gave today?" Vasquez asked. "How many cultures erased because they didn't meet your acceptable standards?" She leaned slightly forward on the screen. "Well done, Chancellor. You finally found a species that exceeds them." Beyond the viewport, more Terran vessels warped into view, striking with fluid, possible movements, peering, attacking, and vanishing before Council forces could react. "Your teleportation tech," Vexy whispered, shaken. "We've never seen anything like it." "The precursors were excellent mentors," Vasquez replied. "But the true lesson wasn't in their machines. 'Twas patience, knowing when to reveal your hand." Piercing alarm shrieked through the Infinite Justice. 3 Terran ships had appeared within the flagship's own shield perimeter. Their weapons were locked on core systems. "You see," Vasquez said calmly, "while you laughed at our rockets and static-filled radios, we built tools that ignore your defenses. Our ships don't break your shields, they bypass them. Our weapons don't penetrate your armor, they phase through it." Her voice grew quiet. "You never had a chance. The battle was lost. Of the 3,000 ships sent to purge Earth, fewer than half remained on. Those were scattered, frightened, and breaking. In less than an hour, the Galactic Council's legendary fleet had been shattered, reduced to drifting wreckage and scattered debris." "I'm going to make you an offer," Vasquez said, her voice shifting to a tone of diplomatic finality. "Withdraw from our system immediately. Return to your council and report what you've witnessed today. Make it clear, Earth is no longer a primitive backwater. We are a force now, and we will not be threatened again." Vexy's hands trembled as he reached for the comms panel. "All vessels," he broadcast across the remaining fleet. "This is High Chancellor Vexy. Immediate retreat to hyperspace. I repeat, withdraw at once. A wise decision, Vasquez replied. But before you leave, Chancellor, consider this. For 2 centuries, you believed you understood humanity. You were wrong about our tools, wrong about our limits, and wrong about our future. So ask yourself, what else might you be wrong about? One by one, the surviving council ships blinked out, fleeing into hyperspace, desperate to escape the horror Earth had become. Aboard the Infinite Justice, preparing to follow, Vexi stared at the image of the planet one last time. We done? He whispered, just before the stars twisted and the flagship vanished in Earth orbit. The Terran vessels began fading, their cloaking fields activating once more. They melted from view, leaving silence in their wake, but their message had echoed through the void. Back in the command center of the Pacific facility, Admiral Torres stood before the tactical map as the final council signals vanished from the system. The room erupted with cheers and applause, but Torres remained composed, his gaze still steady. Signal all ships to return to base, he ordered, and prepare a transmission for a wideband relay to every known galactic civilization. He turned toward his communications officer. It's time they all understood. Humanity is in the game now. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped beside him, her expression lit with the glow of victory and something deeper, hope. What happens next? She asked. Torres looked out at the stars through the thick glass of the observation chamber, his reflection faint. Against the vast night? Now we find out what being human really means, he said. In a galaxy that no longer underestimates us. He turned to address the assembled crew, all eyes locked on him. The precursors gave us their knowledge, but they gave us something greater too, a responsibility. We are no longer in hiding. Humanity has risen from the shadows, will never be dismissed again. But what we do with this power, that's our true test. We can become what once threatened us, or we can rise higher. Become worthy of the legacy we've inherited. Its word of Earth stands spread across the galaxy, carried by stunned Council survivors. A new era was born. Earth was no longer a forgotten world at the edge of the stars. It had become something greater, a threat, a promise, and a mystery no longer ignored. Beneath the oceans, deep in undetectable vaults, humanity continued decoding the secrets of the precursors.